Tune in to episode 94. We talk about how the government's got their hand in your business, but we're going to have our hand on the Mary Jane soon. We allowed to do that? Is that cool?
You're listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. With your hosts, Joe Ferranti and Jerry Kenna. Produced by Nathan Kenna. Interviewing entrepreneurs, business operators, and investors. This episode is brought to you by Wash, because laundry shouldn't cost your time. Wash delivers. Sign up at pickupwashdeliver.com. Do the wash. Skip the hassle.
Oh boy.
All right. So here we are, episode 94, Between Two Bridges Studios. Here with Jerry again. We had a really nice episode last week. It was kind of received well.
It did, yeah. We were a little worried we were going to get canceled. We didn't.
Well, yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are.
We are.
You know what? It goes to show you that there is a little bit of a glimmer of hope, maybe, that if you have a controversial point of view, but you handle it with a little bit of dignity and respect and give a respectful point of view, that it's hard to combat that.
Well, see, we have similar beliefs. So I think if there was a third person on the far left during that conversation, it would have got a lot more heated.
It would have. But even like putting it out there, I mean, we're out there for the world. It's out there on social media. I've not really gotten any blowback as of yet. I've actually had a couple people reach out privately and say, hey, it was a great episode, just spot on.
Yeah.
A lot of people agree. I think a lot of people agree with what we're saying and are afraid to speak up because they don't want to be labeled as racist and bigots. And it's a shame because that's not what this is about. A conversation about hiring and, objectifying undocumented workers was what this is about, and evading taxes and creating an unfair advantage over your competition and breaking the law as far as that goes. It wasn't a conversation about immigration and racism and having a problem with immigrants. That's crazy. We weren't having that conversation. It wasn't what it was about, but that's what that conversation always spins to be, because it's a winning attitude. It's like when you and your wife have a little bicker, it's always like, hey, remember when you didn't close the garage door? And it's like, that's irrelevant in this conversation. We're talking about how you didn't close the garage door. Yeah, it's like when you're having a debate with somebody and they feel like they're losing the argument, they just default to something like that. Well, then you're racist. Well,
right.
What?
And that's hard to defend,
Appreciate business owners that pay their taxes and pay people a fair rate.
And for someone like us that we kind of are more towards the middle, when someone takes a dig at you like that, even in like a conversation with friends, it kind of sets you back a ways, because you're like, wait a second, I'm not that. Like, I don't want to be labeled that.
Right.
So now it's just deflected the argument. And one of the things I was told today about our episode was that sometimes, like a lot of times in life, the far left and the far right are the loudest.
Absolutely.
So they're kind of talking over us.
Yep.
So it's good to have a third or fourth voice involved in it to talk about the truth and the real facts, and because facts get thrown out the window nowadays.
They do, and it goes back to the idea that in a country that is super divided right now in red and blue, and everybody thinks that if any Republicans think that if you're a Democrat, you're a moron and you're this far left person. And Democrats think that if you're a Republican, you're this alt-right, far-right nutball. Really, in reality, 98% of the people are this mix of purple,
right?
That are really just reasonable people that want everybody to just kind of pay their own way and do things the right way and take care of people and just that are just decent human beings. And it's hard to have a conversation because everybody wants to put you in one of those left or right buckets. And in reality, we're not. It's a purple mixture where we're at. And the conversation that we were trying to have last week, and I think it came across the correct way, is we don't have a problem with the people that were detained. And I wish them the best, and I hope that they can get their paperwork together and come back and do it the right way.
Right.
My problem is with the person that
Put them in
took
that
advantage
position.
of them, put them in a bad position, was paying them unfairly, was not taking good care of them, got rich on their back, and then got away with it, and seemingly is getting away with it. And not only that, but actually ended up kind of flim-flamming thousands of
Got
people
another $100,000 on his way out the door.
into donating tax-free money to him.
Yeah.
$138,000, and apparently, from what it looks like, the families and the attorneys and the families of the people that were detained are trying to reach out to Emiliano's ownership to access those funds for those legal battles,
Yep.
and they can't get a hold of him.
Crickets.
He ghosted them.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe we were onto something. I don't know. I'm not involved with it. It's all hearsay. It's what we're seeing, but I don't know. If we see anything else, if we hear anything, we'll keep everybody up to date. But my problem is that I think the episode came off the right way based on the feedback that we got. We didn't get canceled yet. So
Yeah, I mean, it came out today. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
So we got 72 hours till we're clear.
yeah,
And as a
Until
business,
the news cycle's over.
in business, you got to toe that line all the time. So like for us to do it here, respectfully, is not hard because and I know I have customers that you talk to on the phone, and any hot button topic,
Yeah.
they want to just depending on their views. Oh, that goddamn Trump! You talk about what's going on in DC right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get it. It's probably not right. It's probably overreach, but crime rates were coming down. Everything was kind of like in a spot, but it's a juvenile crime situation. It's curfews. It's,
Yeah.
it's a mess, but that's what happens when people are breaking the law. Things don't get clean quick.
Yeah.
So
It's, having a conversation here is one thing. We do have businesses to run, so coming out with our point of view does
It's tough.
have its own inherent risk. I have a very good relationship with the vast majority of my clients, and I actually have clients that wholeheartedly disagree with most of my politics. And I have a lot of them that we'll sit and have a friendly debate while I'm doing their taxes.
and I enjoy that.
And we just have a mutual respect for each other, and we agree to disagree, and that's fine. And it's all good. We don't all have to agree.
Yeah, me and my wife don't agree on a lot. And like a lot of times I come across as smug.
Do you?
I think it's just the belief that it's back to that. If you feel a certain way, everything you think is just a certain way. And it's not the truth in any aspect,
Nah.
It's wild. I just think that in this time right now in this country, everything's become so political. And I think episode 30, we got real political and we tried to dial it back and we didn't want to talk about politics. And we're not directly. Indirectly,
No.
they're involved.
The unfortunate thing is that politics play a big part in business.
Right.
A lot of times we see the government reaches its hand into business. All too often we see businesses trying to appease people and playing politics, whether it's taking a political stance or, last year, the DEI thing was really big. And we've seen it backfire. I mean, Look what happened to Bud Light, Target.
Target's in the thick of it still to this day.
There's a lot of, you got to be really careful as a business owner just pledging your allegiance to a political party or a political stance and becoming an activist. You're not in business to be an activist. You're in business to make a profit.
Yeah, and if you're a super small business, you can do that kind of stuff. Like if you're a small diner and you just want to have Republicans there for eating breakfast and make your $1,100 a week or whatever,
Yeah.
that's fine. But if you're a huge company and you pledge allegiance to one side or the other, or you pick a point of view that might not be seen, you got to toe the line.
If you think that you can succeed in business by only selling to 50% of this country, then by all means,
Right.
take a hardline political stance. I think the vast majority of business owners don't want to limit your business to 50% of the country. I think that, like I said before, I think political discourse and having a discussion and having a disagreement is healthy. And I think that it's a problem that we've gotten to this point where we can't have a discussion and just we're allowed to not agree. We're allowed to have a differing opinion, but to come out and, I see some business owners that post stuff on social media every day or multiple times a day, like just crazy far left or far right things. And I'm like, what are you trying to accomplish here?
Right.
Besides just pissing people off.
They only read chapter 1 of Marketing 101, where it's only like no publicity is bad publicity. Yeah. That's not true anymore.
You gotta just dial it back. And having a political discussion and having a friendly debate is one thing. Jamming your politics down the throat of your customer base is a whole different thing. It's probably something that as a successful business owner, you should try to avoid.
They watched that Seinfeld episode, No Soup for You, taking that stand.
You're not going to succeed like that. Right. Even the soup Nazi, I believe, went out of business at the end of the episode. So I think it's just not really a wise move. And we've seen it. And one of the things that we were going to talk about today, and I guess this is as good of a segue as any, was Target released earnings this morning, actually. So this is going to come out next week. It's going to be a week old. And they beat expectations, but their stock dropped quite a bit.
Right. New leadership. So a few months ago, the current CEO announced that he was going to resign. I think that it was a mutual decision between he and the board, but it was time for him to step down. And he was the one that enacted a lot of the DEI and the...
Yeah, so he had been there for quite some time, and he was the one that was in charge whenever Target started doing a lot of the DEI stuff and started doing a lot of they got involved in a lot of the transgender stuff and that kind of thing, and Target got really political.
Yeah, it wasn't even just like, if I can remember correctly, it wasn't even just like in their hiring practices. It was in their displays and in their they were selling and promoting.
Obviously, they pissed off a lot of people on the right. They've since backpedaled on a lot of that stuff. A lot of those displays are gone. They even most recently announced that they're going to even take DEI practices out of their hiring. Which then again flipped and pissed off the left. So now everybody hates Target. In addition to that, there's companies that get hired to track walk-in traffic in these places. Walk-in traffic is down, sales are down. Target beat expectations, but they beat expectations because for the last several quarters they've been lowering guidance. Basically lowering those expectations. Right. So whenever you lower that bar so much, eventually you're going to exceed them.
Right.
So it still wasn't a great earnings release, but it was at least better than what the market had anticipated it was going to be. But the real reason it seems that the market took such a disdain to the earnings release and the press conference was the replacement for their CEO
came from the inside.
It was their current COO, which I'm not gonna be able to pronounce his name right. I know I'm gonna butcher the shit out of this, but it's Michael Fidelke.
Fiddle fuck. He's fiddle fucking around.
Anyway, he's basically a Target lifer. He's been there for a long time. The board of directors decided that he was the best man for the job. Apparently, from what they said, they did vet some external candidates and they decided that he was the one. The market made it clear that they wanted an external candidate. They wanted fresh eyes. They wanted fresh blood. leading the charge in Target. They knew that something needed to change inside the organization, and they didn't get it.
Yeah.
So now there's a lot of uncertainty, and that stock dropped. I mean, at one point it was down $13 a share today.
Which if you go back, I don't know how many episodes ago it was now, we had John Dick on here.
Yeah.
And the analytics back then pointed towards like they need to change something because their market's not like the data's not pushing towards a positive direction. Right. And that it's probably been 3 or 4 months since then, and their stock is significantly taken a hit overall.
It has. So yesterday when the stock closed, it was at 105.
Overnight.
Overnight it dropped as low as $93 a share. I think it closed at $98 a share, around that. So it came back a little bit. You're going to have some people that bought that dip and pushed it back up a little bit, but it was a major blow to Target. Overall, the market didn't like it. And, a company as big as Target
shouldn't be selling under 100.
And
first of all,
and the bottom line is that it seems like they, for some reason, decided that it was time to become activists, and it just didn't work. It doesn't work.
And if you think about who they pair with them, I mean, every Target you go into, they have a Starbucks in the front, and Starbucks plays that line all the time.
Yeah, you don't need to do that. Right. And we see it so much, whether they're big companies, whether they're celebrities. Everybody thinks that we need to know what you think, what your politics are. Right. Nobody gives a shit. We just want to shop there. We don't want to have to think about that kind of stuff. We just want to watch your movies. We don't want to have to think about what you think. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, we kind of shop like a store like that. I mean, my wife likes to go to Target because it's time to get away from all that shit. Like, you just walk around. You kind of, it's like the old school window shopping when you would go down street, get a cup of coffee, and you go in there and you kind of like can just lose yourself for about a half an hour, 45 minutes. Yeah. But if you're walking around and it's in your face everywhere you go there, and it's not a good vibe. It's not a good feel. And honestly, if that vibe's gone with a cup of coffee and the nice new carts that they have, because they're fucking sweet. Have you seen their new carts?
No.
They got a cell phone holder, coffee holder.
Shit.
I mean, it's
Dude, I like the coffee holder. Dude, the Giant Eagle in Fox Chapel did a coffee holder.
Target's got it going on. I mean, I would prefer to put a beer in it and just cruise. I mean, they sell beer at Giant Eagle, but I guess that's against the rules. But like they did some stuff to make it a more enjoyable experience. But at the end of the day, with everything that's going on with inflation, and then like you're going to throw all this DEI bullshit on top of it, and you're going to make it kind of uncomfortable to be there, or just strange. You're like, well, fuck it. I could save $80 by going to Target.
Or go to Walmart.
Yeah, because I would go buy a box fan or a fan at Target, and you'd get like this nicer looking fan, and it's fine. But like in reality, I probably paid $12 to $24 more for that fan. Yeah. Because it was fancy, but the one at Walmart does the same thing. Right. And I think you're going to see a lot of that, and that's probably also hurting their earnings. It's like they haven't come up with a plan.
And at the same time that a company like Target is falling, and they're having a hard time with revenue and with profits, you have companies like Costco, BJ's Warehouse, Sam's Club, Walmart that are setting record sales. Every quarter, their same store sales are growing. Their profits are growing. Take the political stuff aside, there's definitely a movement right now in the consumer spending world where people are tightening the belt. Yeah. And they're going more toward companies like that. TJ Maxx, when it released their earnings, they had a great quarter. These discount stores.
Back to school.
TJ Maxx. But not only just back to school because Target, but it's the lower price points.
Yeah, I mean, we just had that. We ran into that. Like, we were at Dick's buying shoes, and then I go over to buy like a 12-pack of socks for my son, and it's $28. My wife's like, I'll stop at Ross. Mm-hmm. And she bought them for $8. Yeah. $20 is a lot of money now. It's always been a lot of money, but like...
For socks,
it's like, it's almost like some of these places have gotten to a point where they're going to just price it out, thinking people don't even look at it. They don't care. They just bought shoes, buy socks.
Yeah.
When I'm paying $10 less for the socks than I paid for the shoes,
Right.
there's a big fucking problem there.
Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah. So consumers now becoming aware, you know?
They're having to because things are tightening right now.
Right. And I
People's
never pay
spending is
attention to that
tightening.
shit. And then I think what happens is it's in the news and we talk about it a lot here. So like I needed a couple things and I had to go to PNC and Shaler Plaza and Aldi's is right there. I was going to go to Rite Aid, but Rite Aid's, they didn't win. They lost. They're out. And I'm in Aldi's and I'm like, I just paid $3.65 for a head of broccoli at Giant Eagle. And now here it's $1.65. I'm like, you start doing that on a regular, we could probably take a couple extra days off a year. You know what I mean? Like relax a little bit, you know, do something better with that money.
Right.
Invest it, put it in Target.
Yeah. Buy the dip.
But yeah, and that's what I think was so crazy whenever we were talking to Mr. Dick about it. He said that their price point needs to stay a certain place because there's still this built-in thought process of like, you shop Walmart, can't afford to go to Target.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, I mean, we can, but like, do we want to suffer somewhere else?
Right.
You know, do we want to not go on vacation next year because we just went blindly to Target every time?
Where I think I think, and just in my conversations and what I'm seeing and what I have access to, I'm seeing that attitude is changing to Target. I don't have Target money. I'm going to Walmart.
Right. And what's crazy is like his company was advising Target, telling them you need to figure something out. And it wasn't like they were advising him when we talked to him months ago. This has probably been going on for years, and they're just sticking their nose to the consumer like, what are you talking about? This isn't happening.
Yeah.
You know, and what's going to happen is Walmart's going to do what they always do. You know, you bought a pair of Meta glasses at Target for $400, you can get them for $369.95. You know, it's just what they're going to do. That's how people win in business.
Right.
You know, I mean, we've raised our prices and we say about raising your prices, but like you raise your prices to get to your profit margin. You don't raise your prices blindly to just make more money.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's always been a question or that's what I've been told in business, especially in the dry cleaning business. Would you rather do 1,000,000 suits for $1 or one suit for $1 million? You'd love to do that $1 million suit. And fuck, if I could do it 3 times a year, that'd be awesome. But you can't, and it's not sustainable. And I think that's what's coming to roost here.
Right. It's towing that line and figuring out how high can I get my price to where my margin is healthy enough to keep the business going. I can maintain a comfortable life. Everything's good. But I'm competitive.
Right.
I'm not alienating my customers. And I can continue this because one thing in my business, when I get a new client, I'll have a client, for instance, I do their taxes and, you know, maybe it's a simple return, you know, whatever, $200. And I can't tell you how many times I'll say it's $200 and they'll go like this. And I'm thinking, do they think that's a lot? And they'll be like, my guy last year charged me $600 for this.
Right. But they had the big company with the big branding and
maybe
thousands of employees.
Sometimes it's just a guy that was just
greedy.
And, you know, I've always looked at it like I need this much money to make sure that that it makes sense to do this work, because if anything less, it doesn't even make sense. Like, I'm sorry, but I can't do it for anything less than that. So I have to maintain a certain margin, but I would rather have that client for the next 20 years.
100%.
Because that $200 times 20 years, or, you know, indexed for inflation. I would rather do that than have that client get $600 and never see him again.
Right. And that's when I started out at Duro. The crazy thing was the previous owner just didn't raise his prices because everything he had was paid for. Yeah. Didn't matter. And he was making his money. He was making his nut. And it didn't matter. But like whenever I started buying new equipment and doing new things, I'm like, I can't afford to keep operating like this. So we raised the prices. And then you raise the prices, what do customers ask? is there a discount? Well, it's like, I can't afford to discount it. So like maybe like what I've been thinking is like get a little higher, you know, get a little better profit margin, and then give back a little bit as to new consumers, because like they always feel like they want something, but I can't give you 25% off your first order if I'm only making 3%.
Right.
Like I can't afford to do that.
Can't lose money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, because especially in our business, our margins are so small, and like you get a new customer, they spend $30 and there's no guarantee they're coming back.
Right.
Now, if they would guarantee me that they're going to spend $30 a week for the next, 3,000 weeks, I'll give you $500 off your first order.
Right.
But I always laugh at like these window companies and these like bigger, like wet, what's the one that remodels your bathroom in the day? West Shore.
West Shore.
Yeah, they're like, we'll give you $6,000 off. Okay. Consumer alert. If someone's going to give you $6,000 off a job,
They're probably $12,000 higher than everybody
then
else.
they should be. Yeah, because their margins are still 33 to 50%. You know what I mean? So like, I've always thought that as a turnoff.
I always thought that was funny. Anytime I ever saw those discounts, and it'd be like $2,000 off, and I'm like, dude, listen, if you're giving me $2,000 off,
I can't even get a price.
I don't even want to know what you're charging, because I don't want to pay it.
Right.
If your prices, if you're willing to knock $2,000 off,
Yeah.
you're too high.
Yeah. You're going to send 3 guys to my house, take $6,000 off. We know they're not working for free.
Nope.
We know the materials aren't free. So your profit margins are in the 60%, maybe even plus, maybe 100%.
Yeah, they'll come in and be like, we're going to give you $6,000 off, and $6,000 off is $18,000 bathroom. But in the meantime, if you hired a small contractor,
It'd be $4,000.
it'd be $4,000 to $6,000 to do the whole thing, and instead you're going to pay that guy $12,000. Well, he gave you $6,000 off.
I know I did that with gutters. We got a thing in the mail or whatever. I called him. I said, I didn't even know what gutters cost. Dude, and it was a process because they wanted like $21,000 for gutters. Ooh. And I'm like, I didn't even pay that for the roof.
That's crazy.
Right? And then the dude's like, I called my manager.
No, here we go.
You sign the contract now, we'll do it for like $16,500. I'm like, I bet you would. I said, if I sign the contract now, you'd probably do it for $9,000, But like, that's how much wiggle room. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. And then they call you and they're like, well, if you don't sign today, I can't honor that $15,000. It's like, what are you even, like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah. Leave me alone. So, I mean, you got to watch. Consumers got to watch. And when people get to the point where like Bud Light was one of them, they're like, fuck it, we're Bud Light. And then they lose. It's like, oh, consumers are paying attention. The American person the general public's not dumb.
No.
And maybe we're not all qualified to be accountants, but we all watch our bank accounts and we're like, I don't need that Starbucks coffee and that $80 trip at Target once
maybe I need to make some Folgers and go to Walmart this week.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
I mean, one of the big things we've been doing at home is we've been meal planning because we started looking at our grocery bills and it's like, oh, we're going to have, we'll have spaghetti and meatballs today, but we're going to run down to the store. We got to buy sauce. We got to do this. We got to, and then the next day you're like, what do you want to eat? We're like, oh, we'll have, tuna noodle casserole. And then you got to run back to the store and you can't get out of there without $50, $60.
Yeah. If you're lucky.
Yeah. And I'm like, we might as well eat out.
Yeah.
So, you start meal planning, you start doing that stuff. And if we're doing it, everybody's doing it. Like people around the world are doing it. Too. And it's, it's just the way it is. And for Target to think that they could the investors and your consumers control what you should do in your business. And when they're asking you to bring fresh blood in and you just, they don't know what they're talking about. We're going to bring our boy in, it's not good.
No, it's not.
Thank you for listening. And now a brief word from our sponsor. You've got a full plate. Kids, meetings, workouts, side hustles. There's better things to do than laundry. Introducing Wash, laundry reimagined for the modern world. Schedule your pickup in seconds via the convenient web app. Wash picks up your clothes, cleans with care, and brings them back fresh and ready to wear. But it's more than garments. From bedding and table linens to shoes, hats, purses, and more. Wash handles all your life's fabric, leaving you more time to do you. Visit pickupwashdeliver.com and see how convenient it can be to do the wash. And now, back to the show.
So, I mean, talking about consumers and paying attention, we've all seen the fancy tags at like Walmart, and I guess Kroger's has them. There's no Kroger's around here. They're pretty informative. They give you like the unit price, and they're like kind of pretty cool.
You mean the digital ones?
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're pretty cool. And, I guess the company can obviously, if an employee forgets to change a tag on something that went up $1 in their algorithm, that could cost the company, big money.
Yeah.
So these ones are able to be updated, instantly. And, as soon as a big company comes up with something new, I feel like the government needs to shoehorn it real quick. So he's no longer in office, but Bob Casey spearheaded this a couple years ago when they started doing it, because they were worried about doing like flexible rates, like hourly through the day, kind of like Uber does. And God forbid, a big company that's successful, that's doing it right, they're not just doing it right. I mean, I think we talked off air. You were like, you know how much time and energy goes into like...
Yeah, when I first read the article that was out about that, I guess Walmart's doing them and Kroger's, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of other companies that take them on. When I was in high school, I worked at a Giant Eagle, a local Giant Eagle, and I remember, I never had to do it, but I remember the employees that had to change all the tags.
Like the planogram going through everything.
Yeah. And the amount of manpower that it takes to do the tags, and when prices change, and I mean, the stack of tags, and you'd have to go down and find them and change them. And God forbid there was one that was wrong.
Right.
And my thought when I read that article was, Jesus, like that is a great use of technology. And regardless of what those things cost,
right,
those things pay for themselves in probably a month, just by the fact that instead of having some employee that's probably going to fuck it up, have to sit there and change all those tags, somebody either at corporate or in a back office can be like, oh, Pepsi's now $4.99 because it's on sale. Bloop. And every one of the Pepsi tags in the store just changes.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's a huge savings in manpower. That's a huge savings in errors.
Right.
And I thought of it as a business owner. I'm like, that's freaking genius.
Right. I always liked Walmart. I think Sam's Club does. I think it's a Walmart thing, but they give you a unit price, So like there's a lot of trickery in consumer. Like you're looking at a pop bottle or a jug of Gatorade or whatever, and you're like, oh, that's got to be a better deal because it's bigger and it's only $1 more. But then you look at it and you're like, oh, wait a second, I could buy 2 of these and the unit price is actually cheaper.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of honesty in those things too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but I guess what happened is the powers that be started getting letters, or consumers were bitching, and they're trying to like stop it. And it's like, why? Like,
yeah, I guess they're looking at it like they feel like there's a lack of trust, and I understand a lack of trust in corporate America, right? I get it. But there's a lack of trust where they think that these companies are going to take advantage of the fact that they can change prices on the fly. They insinuated that there would be different pricing for different times of day, so busy times versus slow times. There could be price gouging whenever their supply is low and things like that. Listen,
isn't that every business?
It is. And it could happen with whether it's a digital price tag or they send over the guy that makes $8 an hour to go just rip the tag down and put a different tag up. Here's the bottom line. You're never going to be able to 100% stop companies from price gouging.
Right.
The idea that a company is going to take the time and effort to adjust pricing based on the time of day, I don't think that makes any sense. Price gouging with a lack of supply, that happens regardless of whether it's a paper tag or a digital tag.
Right.
But I'm more of a free market capitalist, and the way I look at that is that the free market handles that.
Right.
And kind of with the Target Walmart thing right now, people are tightening their belt and they're looking at prices at Target versus prices at Walmart, and Walmart's busy
all day long.
There's a reason for that. Is Walmart nicer than Target? No. Is their stuff nicer? No, it's cheaper.
Right.
You know, if Kroger decides all of a sudden that the prices are higher at 6:00 p.m. than they are at 3 a.m., word's going to get out. And one, either it's going to be busier at 3 a.m. because people are going to be like, oh shit, I can just grocery shop in the middle of the night and save money. And then they're going to stop doing that. Or if they start price gouging and, you know, kind of jacking people off and like raising prices when they're not looking, that's going to get out. We live in the world of social media and instant publicity.
Right.
That's going to backfire.
Well, that's probably the only thing I see. Like I was thinking is that like when you're talking as a negative is like if I go, I want to buy a 12 pack of Pepsi and it's $9.99 and I get to the counter and they change that fucker to $14.99. You know what I do? I put it back.
Yeah.
Here, you put it back.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I thought about that when I was reading it. I'm like, that's the only thing I could see. If I bought something and it said one price and I walk up and it rings up a different price and I'm like, no.
And then you walk all the way back and
they're
they're
like, you motherfucker. Yeah. I'd almost feel like every time I walk by, get something, I'd be like,
taking a picture
of that tag.
Yeah. But I also think that like this is like petty to like the bigger thing. Like for years and years, since the beginning of time, airlines have been doing the same shit.
Yeah.
But they bail them out. And they're in bed together at this point, you know? So like utility companies do it. There's surge pricing on utilities. The gas that you use at 5 a.m. is cheaper than the gas you use at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
How about
natural gas?
Gasoline.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so
Closer
many
to the way
things.
you are to the highway, the more you pay.
There's so many things that prices change in an instant and by location and by time of day and based on supply and demand. And it, you know, we just kind of suck that up. I mean, you want to fly to Florida, it could be, you know, you could look at it today and it's one price and next week it's double the price. Or you could buy it today and look at it next week and it's half the price. And there's nothing you could do about it.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is I just learned that like Google has a whole algorithm to figure out cheap flights and so does ChatGPT. Like you can utilize it for all that. But I mean, the airlines have been doing it for years.
Yeah, and you would think that the price would be the price.
Right.
Right? They know what it's going to cost.
Yeah, you could book a flight like we did. We booked a flight and we fucked up. I now admit we fucked up. We thought we had a Delta card. We had a United card. We get there. Bags are supposed to be like $30 checked. 65 today because, you know, you don't have a Delta card. And I'm like, you scumbag motherfuckers, you know? And I was going to sign for one, and I'm like, you know what? Screw you. I'm not even giving you the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. So I shoved all this shit into a carry-on.
Did you?
Left one bag behind.
Did you just left the bag? Probably would have been cheaper just to get the fucking checked bag, dude. You just bailed on a bag. Fucking luggage is expensive, dude.
I don't know if you buy it at Ross or Target or Walmart.
Dude, a couple years ago, after we went on a trip, and we just had like shitty, like hand-me-down, cheap fucking luggage. And while we were gone, my wife's like, I'd like to get like decent luggage.
A matching set.
Yeah, like newer stuff. Like we weren't looking for like Gucci, fucking
Louis Vuitton.
Yeah, we were like.
I see people
like
driving flying commercial with that shit, and I'm like, are you retarded?
Yeah, like meanwhile, the lady behind the counter was just like,
boom.
Yeah. No, nothing like that, but like just something that a little bit better. So I'm like, yeah, all right. So it was like right after tax season, you know, we had a couple bucks, you know. So we went to Macy's, and I'm looking at bags, and I picked up this bag, and I looked at the price, and I'm like, oh, this isn't bad for the set.
It was for one bag.
And my wife's like, that's for that bag. And I'm like, are you shitting me? I'm like, this is just this bag? Like, this isn't the whole set? And I'm looking at all the price tags on it. I'm like, shit's expensive.
Yeah, and these fuckers don't care. They're just shoving it under a plane.
It was ridiculous. I'm like, I don't know that I can do this. I'm literally standing in the luggage section of Macy's next to a bag that I think was like $500.
Right.
And I'm like, I said to my wife, I'm like, listen.
We could buy a couch.
I can't do this. And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, it's not that I don't have the money, but if I spend $1,000 on 2 bags, The next time I'm at the airport, and the
You're going to be under the plane with it.
throws this bag onto that conveyor belt, I'm jumping over that fucking counter and tackling her. I can't do it.
Right.
And she's like, that makes sense. We went home. We ordered 2 bags off Amazon Basics.
So
We've had them for
They're
like 3 years. Nothing wrong with them bags. They're great.
Yeah, they're great. And we got an upgrade on a bag because not an Amazon Basic, but like a Ross or TJ Maxx bag we had. It come down the belt. It was like ratchet strapped together. Like they fucked it up. The one wheel was gone. Like poor Sarah's shit was like taped to the outside of it and stuff. And we went in right to the kiosk there at Pittsburgh International, and we were like, "Hey, I don't know like what the protocol is in this, but this bag's like fucked up." And they were like, "Oh, we'll send it out to get repaired." I'm thinking like, and it was one of the hard shell ones, and the wheel's fucking hanging like gone. I mean, one wheel's missing. I'm like, all right, whatever. So they sent it out, and 3 days later, we got a notification they were just going to mail us a new bag. So like, we took it out, dumped all the shit in the car, took the bag back in. They sent it, which probably is a nice little business.
Yeah.
Because like for stupid little shit, guy fixes it and sends it back. But they sent us a nice bag. I mean, it's a nice suitcase we have.
Yeah.
And that was just, they gave it to us.
Yeah. But
So
could you imagine if you had like a $500 suitcase and it came back bungee corded and taped together?
yeah, I have a hard line I draw on a lot of stupid shit. If I pay more for something now than I paid for my first car, I'm not fucking doing it. And $1,000 for 2 suitcases is one of those ones.
I waste a lot of money on stupid shit. Believe me. But it's just like when you go to the airport and they just chuck it. It's like they intentionally throw it with as much velocity, like they're trying to fuck it up.
Yeah.
It's like,
And then you're sitting in the plane and you're watching them load the other plane, and they're like fucking smoking cigs and fucking chucking bags.
it in there. And I'm like, I can't do it.
I watched a guy one time, and it was one of these fancier strollers for kids. And the dude was out there like couldn't figure it out. He's banging this motherfucker off the ground.
Probably
And I'm
a
thinking,
$3,000 stroller.
yeah. So
Those shit, they're fucking.
but that's where we are now. It's a consumer alert. It's and a lot of companies have made a lot of money just raising prices and explaining it all. Like I think that's going to be a big thing over the next 6 months, is where a lot of companies raise their prices due to tariffs that never came due. And what did you do with that extra money? You know, like it's kind of like these companies that made extra money on PPP loans that didn't need them. It's like the scare of the tariffs, I think, are going to be a lot greater than the actual tariff.
Well, when Home Depot just released their earnings, they said that they're likely going to have to raise prices in the second half of the year because of tariffs. And even though they had a bad earnings release, their stock went through the roof.
Yeah.
Because it artificially increases their margins.
Right.
Because they're going to raise prices. Well, they're not just going to, if it's a 20% tariff, if they raise their price 20%, it's not going to be, it's 20% of the cost.
Yeah, it's not on what you pay.
It's not on what we pay, it's on their cost.
Right.
So if they, just for easy math, if they pay $100 for a product, and we pay $200 for that, their cost goes up 20%, so $20. Our cost, if they just do 20%, our cost goes to $240.
Right.
Okay, so they just made an extra $20. So their revenue and their profits are going to go up on the tariff.
Right.
So to the retailer, they can cry about these tariffs all they want. It's not going to hurt them.
Right.
They're actually going to make a profit on them, because they're not going to say, well, it only raised it 20%, $20, so let's just raise it $20. They're going to raise it the percentage.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and smart businesses will know their consumer and know, hey, what's another $40 when you're doing a whole kitchen or whatever?
Maybe we should send out letters to all our customers and say, hey, due to tariffs, we have to raise our prices 25%.
Yeah, I mean, we've done some things over the years, like obviously credit card fees when you go all credit card fees start eating your bottom line.
Yep.
So you gotta charge a fee.
Start charging fees.
And we're honest. I'm a 3% fee for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably pay like 3.25%, I think now. I could have went to 5%, but like at some point you got to be careful, because if someone calls you out on it, you better like, especially to one person, because they have the balls to call you out. You better be able to show them something to calm them down, or else they'll just leave. And the people that don't
trash you on the way out.
Yeah, and the people that don't want to pay more money, I can understand it. Like, I'm not going to ever tell anyone how to spend their money. I mean, we offer a great service in our dry cleaning business. One of the things that, like, we were talking about the tariffs, like the tariffs on our wire directly to us, 25%, right? But they're not paying it on wire. They're paying it on rod. So they're bringing in all this rod, turning it into wire. So they're only paying on our product probably about 1 or 2%. But they're passing off 25% to us because it makes sense to everybody.
Right.
Because no one's going to call them out on it.
Right. So their margins just went up.
Right. So they're making more money, but like as an end user of their product, you know what you do? You start calling around.
Yeah, and in the meantime, you don't charge for your hangers. Your customer doesn't have a hanger fee.
Right. In our manufacturing business with the wire, we just charge for the product.
Right.
And you have bigger companies coming and putting the squeeze on us, saying, how can we buy cheaper? And it's like, I can't tell you that.
My cost just went up 25%.
Yeah, and they don't care.
Right.
So it's a mess.
Yeah.
And none of it, not a lot of it, has been hammered out completely yet.
No, and that's part of the art of the deal, right?
Yeah.
With Trump is that half the shit that he says never comes to fruition because he throws shit out there.
Right.
As part of the negotiation tactic that is wild, and he gets people all riled up, and then he ends up compromising. And it's just what he does. He literally wrote a book about it. It's called The Art of the Deal.
I just used this example with Sarah the other night. I said, so we do our Franny Fall Fest every year. And I said, let's just tell everybody we're having Morgan Wallen there because we're going to have live music.
Yeah.
And we'll have like 3,000 people there. And then we'll just have like fucking... Tim Cool from fucking Munhall just play and be like, I don't know what happened, but it's $5 a beer and
That's
fucking
what you do.
$20 a hot dog.
Yeah, we were gonna charge $50.
Yeah,
when we had Morgan Wallen, now it's $5,
and we laugh about it. We laugh about it, but that's been the way he's operated.
It's been the way he's operated since.
And these CEOs and CFOs are sitting in a room and they're like, well, how much can we raise our prices? Well, Trump's on the news saying 30%. We can cut it in half right now. We can say 15%. And they're increasing their prices. Mm-hmm. And Poly was a big one years ago. Our plastic bags went through the roof. And the distributors were all like, well, what are we going to do? It's what it is. And everybody says it is what it is. Well, now it's actually come down.
Did they actually come down?
And the prices never change. And it's never going to change.
Never happens.
And that's just the way, it's just business, And when you look at it, and like I tell the distributor all the time, like, charge me $1,000 a roll. If that's the cheapest I can get it, then that's what it is. And then I put it into my equation, and you pass it off to your customers. Sucks.
Yeah.
So I don't want to. I wish I could make a living charging everybody 99 cents a shirt and $1 for a pair of pants, and I could have a nice house and a nice life. But sorry, that's not the world we live in anymore.
No, it's unfortunate, and I wish that I could too. I wish that I could still do my work for the prices that we had when I first started. I just had this conversation with a client, and because she's been around since I started, she actually worked with the gentleman that I got into started business with. And, pricing was a lot different back then. Doing a tax return for $70-$80 was typical.
Yeah. High school taxes were, $1,900.
I can't do anything for $70-$80 anymore. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I can't. I would lose money.
Right.
At that money. Like, I have to be double that.
Yeah, you got to figure it all in: the lights, the electric, the employees, the insurance,
even just the software cost.
Right.
The amount of money that I spend in software just to be able to do it, and then once you factor in how much the business has changed as far as the consistent work throughout the year of having to work with the IRS and having to deal with shit that comes up, there's just too much. It's just everything's changed. Yeah. Prices have had to come up.
Right. Unless you're hiring a bunch of illegal immigrants and, buying food that fell off the back of the truck. I mean, I don't want to accuse anybody of that, but no, them days are gone, man. Them days of buying speakers. Yeah, I mean, you worked in Circuit City. Remember, like, guys would buy speakers that fell off the back of the truck.
Yeah.
Shit's all accounted for now. And it's coming due, and it's unfortunate. And I think we're going to go through, the economy will go through a rough patch. I don't want to say the R word.
It's coming.
But those of us that are able to make meals out of, $5 loaf of bread and can of soup, they'll figure it out.
Yep.
I'll eat a grilled cheese or a steak. It doesn't matter to me.
So, speaking of the art of the deal, Trump has been throwing some more stuff out there that I think is worth talking about. So this is not investing advice. I'm going to just preface this with this, but I will disclose that I do have stock. I am a shareholder in the industry.
Right.
I did act on this thought process. So I'm going to lay out what I think my prediction is over the next few weeks, and we'll see if it comes into fruition. But based on his track record and his book, and I'm watching what he's saying and what he's doing, and I think I have a prediction. So a few weeks ago, a rumor, well, we'll start before this. So before Trump won, when Biden was still in the White House, they started talking about rescheduling marijuana as a Schedule III drug. So for any of our viewers that don't know anything about this business or industry, right now marijuana is federally illegal. And I know some of you are going, what do you mean? There's a dispensary down the street from my house. So it's federally illegal. Some states have legalized it recreational legal, some medical only, some it's still completely illegal. But as far as the federal government goes, it is still an illegal narcotic. Schedule 1, so comparable to cocaine, heroin, okay?
Untaxable.
Completely illegal. So much so that I think what people don't even realize that, like, if the feds wanted to be assholes, the DEA could walk into a dispensary in Pennsylvania and shut it the fuck down.
Right. And that's why you can't fly with a pen. You can't fly with any flour.
You're not allowed to carry it over state lines. There's a lot of rules because it's federally illegal. Some of those rules, like, and I think a lot of people don't realize this, if you own a cannabis-related business, you have to file a tax return, but because it's federally illegal, you can't take any deductions on your tax return.
Right.
So these companies are paying tax on their gross revenue. So if they have $1 million worth of sales, they cannot deduct payroll taxes, payroll costs, payroll taxes, rent, cost of goods sold. None of that stuff is deduction.
It's a straight line.
So they literally pay taxes on $1 million. Even if they lost money at the end of the year, they're paying taxes on $1 million. So the profit margins on these companies is taking a beating, which is why a lot of these companies that are publicly traded on the stock market are very low dollar amounts because investors are hesitant to get into them because there's a lot of uncertainty.
They can be shut down.
Right. There's also issues with banking because since it's federally illegal, a lot of banks won't touch the money. They won't take credit cards.
Right.
You can't get loans. So there's a lot of regulation because it's federally illegal. There's also, there's no funding as far as federal funding for any sort of research on any sort of medical benefits and a lot of things like that. So the Biden administration announced that they were considering rescheduling it as a Schedule III drug. This was probably a few months before the election. It didn't actually end up happening. And as you're aware, he lost.
Yeah.
So fast forward to a few weeks ago, and a rumor hit the interwebs that somebody close to the Trump administration leaked that Trump was considering descheduling marijuana, not rescheduling, descheduling, full legalization.
Yeah, free for all.
Which, when that happened, it was like a free for all. Everybody went crazy. Conservatives on the right that are anti legalization took to X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and all their following, and came out against it. One thing I found a little bit interesting is that, you know how you ever notice that when you put on the news, whether you watch
depending on your channel,
right-wing news or left-wing news, they all have the same talking points. They both basically repeat the same shit over and over again. The talking point for all these people that came out against it was their biggest argument was that it smelled, and everything's going to smell.
Hey, speaking from a dry cleaner standpoint, some of that shit stinks.
I agree. But I thought it was weird because I'm like, you know, there are valid arguments against full legalization. The best you got is that it smells.
Cigarettes stink worse.
And I was thinking that, like, I'm actually just as turned off when I walk around and I smell cigarette smoke than I am with that. So, like,
yeah,
that's the best you have.
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of odd.
Yeah, here in Allegheny County, we already have rules in place
for that.
So they just follow the same standard.
Right. So I thought that it was kind of strange that, like, that was their best argument. But anyway, a little bit after that rumor hit, there was a fundraising dinner that was $1 million a plate.
Nice.
That Trump spoke at. And one of the guests was the CEO for Trulieve, which is a cannabis business in the United States, who is a major campaign contributor. And she is pushing him
Follow the money, Jerry.
Right. To do some sort of change in regulation on cannabis. During a press conference, I believe after that, I don't think it was at that event, he was asked about it, and he said that they are right now researching and seriously considering rescheduling marijuana to Schedule 3. And during that press conference, he said, well, you know, I'm talking to a lot of people, and, you know, we've got to think about it. You know, people, it could be very dangerous, but there's a lot of benefits to it. And by making it Schedule 3, you know, it'll allow us to do a lot of research. It's going to open up federal funding for universities and research firms to do medical research to help veterans. And there's a lot of benefits to it. And, you know, he kind of went on from there. So I listened to that, and I've been doing a lot of reading of what will that mean? And here's what my takeaway of what rescheduling it will mean, and then why I think this is imminent. So rescheduling basically doesn't change anything with the states. So anything that is in place with the states themselves, so Pennsylvania right now, it's medical use only, although from what I understand, the Pennsylvania state government, it has a bill that they have put forward to go full recreational. That seems to have bipartisan support. So I suspect that is actually coming. But whatever system each state has with their dispensaries and their grow licenses and this and that will stay intact. But basically making it Schedule 3 kind of takes the feds out of it.
Right.
Gives the power back to the states. It also opens up like he said, the research. It's going to allow for federal funding to go to universities to do actual research on benefits of medical marijuana. It's going to pave the way for banks to start allowing credit card processing, lending, banking, deposit banking, all that kind of thing. It's going to remove that gray cloud that's over that industry where we don't really know where it's going because, yeah, it's all fine in the state, but the feds still say it's illegal.
Yeah.
Which is also going to remove that uncertainty, and investors are likely going to flood to those stocks.
Right.
Which is going to drive the price of those stocks through the roof. So I think that that's coming. Here's why I think it's coming. Trump wrote a book about it. It's called The Art of the Deal. Okay. So the whole thing and he's done this over and over again. He did it with the tariffs. He's done it with, did he say he was going to take over Greenland?
Yeah.
He was going to make Canada the 51st
the Gulf of America, the whole thing. You know,
Gulf of America is the only one he actually did.
Right. Just how he operates.
He creates this. They come up with these crazy ass ideas, get everybody all worked up, and then he compromises.
Right.
I think that the descheduling rumor was actually intentionally leaked to get everybody all worked up. And I think the Schedule 3 thing is actually the compromise that he is going to do. He said during that press conference that he's going to make his decision in the next few weeks. That was about a week and a half ago. I think when this comes out, it'll be 2.5 weeks ago.
I'm not a big weed smoker, but if he does this, I think we smoke weed in here.
Listen, if he does this and my stock does what I think it's going to do, we're lighting up, brother. But I think it's coming. I think that this whole thing was part of the art of the deal, and I think it's coming. I think
it's a long time coming. I think
it is.
You know,
it is. You can't have two sets of laws where you have the feds, and he's got this track record of giving power back to the states where it belongs.
Right.
The Constitution was written for the states to have the power.
100%.
The feds are not supposed to have all this power. And by doing this, it gives the power back to the states and allows them to make the decisions that they want to make.
Right.
If you want to make it illegal, leave it illegal.
Yeah, if you want to douse your population and you want people to exit your state, go ahead.
Right.
And that's the way it should be. And there's so many things over his first 4 in the last year where people don't, it's a shame. People don't understand that. When he's doing things, he's not doing them to change it for everybody. He's put it on your governor. Yeah, he's put it on your people.
Well, and that's the whole idea of the Constitution and was that the states are supposed to have all the power.
Right.
And right now, in over the history of the United States, the federal government has accumulated so much power. Right. And, I think part of what he's been trying to accomplish is trying to give some of that power back. Whether you like what he's doing, whether you don't like what he's doing, whether he's doing it too much or too little, we don't need to get into that. But that's what he's trying to do.
Just the structure of elections. A lot of elected officials on a state level are 2-year terms. Mm-hmm. Federal level is 4-year terms. It gives people time to let it run its course and see what happens and then pick it locally. Because not what's good in Pennsylvania, what's good in Pittsburgh isn't good in LA.
Exactly. Not everything is good. This is a huge country.
Right.
And for the federal government to be dictating something that happens in Los Angeles that also happens in Idaho.
Right.
It's ridiculous. You can't have that same rule for both of those places. It's two completely different. In Europe, most of the countries in Europe are the size of our states.
Right.
And you have to govern that way. We're the United States of America.
Right.
Like all the states need to be able to dictate their own rules, and in a lot of ways. The federal government really the purpose of the federal government is really to protect the rest of the United States. It's for national defense.
Well, I mean, I just think back to when we were in high school. Everybody like the health teachers telling you, drugs are bad. Okay. Like, but weed, it's a gateway drug. If you smoke weed today, you'll be doing crack tomorrow. You'll be doing heroin in a month. And it's like you're scaring people to think a certain way. And it's coming from a curriculum that's being approved by the local government. Right. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see where that goes. And for your sake, I hope Trump's smoking weed at the podium when it comes out.
It's interesting because he has come out that he is actually very anti. He doesn't drink.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He doesn't do that at all. He doesn't smoke weed at all. But he's willing to hear both sides. If he does it, he's going to upset a lot of people on the right. I don't think he gives a shit because he doesn't have to run again.
Well, I also think that in my personal life, I know that it's been since we've gotten Pennsylvania's cleared as medical, it has become a lot better for people. It's helped them.
Yeah, I know of a lot of people that have been able to avoid using opiate painkillers and anxiety medicine and things like that. I think there are legitimate medical benefits to it, And, do I think that you should be able to do it and then get behind the wheel of a car? No, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Do I think that alcohol is just as dangerous as weed? Yeah, I do.
I tend to think that it's more dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that
I don't know too many guys that got super high and they're like, fuck it, dude. I'll drive 100 miles an hour down the freeway. And they're like, why is everybody going so fast, man?
It's different. And it's, I think that the country, national polls, 80% of the American public think that it should be legal.
And I think 88% of the American public are doing it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So we'll TBD that then.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch. But I wanted to put my prediction out there to the public.
Oh, we're gonna
timestamp this, and
I'm gonna call Mitch Folks episode 5. I'm gonna get a billboard. We're gonna play it on there when you're right.
If I'm right, we're gonna play this and be like, "You heard it here first, folks."
Dude, I'll even do edibles on air, and you guys we'll do a live stream, and you can ask me questions. All my answers will be
comment. It'll be a game. Put in the comments when you think when it kicked in. The edible kicked in
to the moon. All right, well, hopefully for your case, to the moon.
To the moon, buddy.
So, well, it's been a good week. Everything else is kind of status quo in our lives, which is good. We got one more week in August when this comes out. Well, there'll be a couple more days left in August when this comes out. And we'll do some NFL predictions. We'll talk a little bit about the NFL. Some of this shit we'll probably play into that. That's like my thought whenever I wish people had more common sense. So if they not deregulate, they want to reschedule it, right? People are going to say, well, I want my uncle out of jail. It's like, it doesn't work like that. He broke the fucking law when it was a law.
Yeah, well, I think that's going to be a conversation that ends up being had.
Yeah, and then you're going to have these guys from the NFL that have been getting fined big dollars and missing game checks.
Yeah, I think that's different too because the NFL rules, that's the NFL rules, man. Right. It's in your contract.
But they're one of the huge components. I mean, they've actually, I think, changed their rules a little bit for marijuana usage. Like off season, they're allowed to dabble in it a little bit. But these guys are saying it like, hey, I'd be much better off not taking hydrocodone and just smoking a joint and going to bed than I would be doing what you're saying.
Yeah, because they're not going to end up in rehab because they're addicted to painkillers.
Right. So, TBD, man.
TBD.
All right, man. Good talk.
Till next time.
Love you, bud.
Love you guys.
Thank you for listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. Find and follow us on your preferred podcast streaming platform. Like and subscribe, and leave us a rating and review. You can join us socially on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. You can email the show at info@betweentwobridgespodcast.com. Until next time, make it till you rake it.
We could talk about weed too.
Oh, yeah. You might want to come back for that one.